Okay, good afternoon on this sunny but windy day. Because it's so windy, I'm going to try and be as quick as I can and condense the million things I've got to say in the shortest time possible. Anyway, I was watching a video on YouTube about the situation regarding black women and dating. Now, I have to emphasize this was based on American black women. Now, I don't fully know what the situation is for black women dating here in the UK. That's for you to tell me, but I'm only going by what I saw on this video. Now, the reason for this video, in terms of the title you see, was a terminology that one of the women said. Now, it was a panel of women being interviewed by a host. One of the interviewees, or one of the people being interviewed, I might have said that wrong, so please forgive me, was a man amongst the panel. Now, I'll come to him in a minute. So, one of the women, she gave the reasons for some black women's plight in the dating scene was, oh, a lot of black men can't handle a strong black woman. Now, this is what inspired this video, because I've heard this terminology said for many, many years, and to this very day, no one has given an actual breakdown by the meaning of strong black woman. Now, I know what a strong woman is. I can give you a definition of a strong woman regardless of a color, but because we're talking about black women, let's stick with black women. So if you ask me, Ron, what is your idea of a strong black woman? I would reply this way: a woman who does not crack under stress very easily, a woman who's organized, a woman who's determined to go after what she wants, a woman who has the patience to listen to what you've got to say, especially in the situation of an argument, and more importantly, a woman who's big enough to acknowledge her flaws and come to you and apologize when she knows she's wrong and she acknowledges that she's wrong. Now, that to me is a strong woman. So these traits of my definition of strength is not something that needs to be handled. To me, it's something that should be admired and desired. Also, I just forgot to mention another definition of strength is a woman that doesn't suffer fools gladly and who's not prepared to put up with any bullshit. That's another element of strength. Again, something that should be admired and desired. So the two words, handle. Why would a woman need to be handled? And strength or strong? What strength that black women claim to have that a man can't handle? Unless it's something very negative. Now, you handle a vicious dog, you handle a lion or a tiger in a circus, you handle a big truck or lorry driving down a narrow road. Those things you handle. And there's an element of either danger or a bad consequence attached to handling these things. So what's the handle? What is there to handle regarding a woman? What is it about a woman that would turn a man off in terms of handling? Surely the idea of a man being with a woman should be based on desire, right? So how do you fit strength and handle with desire? The two don't go together. If you can't handle something, how is that connected to desire? Do you see my point of view? And so I made a video on my other channel just simply asking a question. Could please someone give me a definition of a strong black woman? And unfortunately, 3 times it triggered a very negative response. And I found that quite interesting because instead of answering the question, they just went into attack mode. Now, sadly, some women, capital S, some women, they think that hurling insults or straight up attack somehow makes the points that you've raised regarding the subject void. And it does anything but that. If anything, it draws attention to them and their stupidity. Obviously, what's really taken place is they are offended by the truth that you've raised, and they don't have an argument to present to debunk the points you've made, and this offends them, and they know they've got nowhere to go with it, and their form of defense is attack, which is really silly. Which leads me on to the most interesting exchange I had on YouTube in the comment section of this video. Okay, so this battle that went on between me and this woman, how it all started. It all started because of a comment that I replied to in regards to something a woman said on a panel. One of the women, she said, she referred to herself, I think she was a CEO. She said, like, obviously she's educated and she's got her financial stuff together. And she said that because of this, men find that threatening, hence she can't get a date. She can't find a black man, right? Now, this guy replied in the comment section saying, CEO, educated, high status, why would a man find that threatening? He said, why do women write this? So I responded to his comment and said, allow me to present the elephant in the room. I said, power and strength by itself is not a negative. How you use it determines whether it's a negative or a positive. If you use power and strength to build, encourage, motivate, then it obviously is a positive thing. If you use power and strength to destroy, emasculate, or put somebody down, then it's a negative. A bitch with or without power is still a bitch. Then I went on to say, the terminology, he can't handle a strong black woman, is a desperate coping mechanism. And that's how I left it. Now, bear in mind, I didn't actually attack a group of women. I just said anyone who says that he can't handle a strong black woman it's in my impression, until I'm shown otherwise, until someone breaks down the definition of strength, to me it comes across as a desperate coping mechanism in terms of rejection. Because you turn it the other way around, a man who likes a woman and he gets rejected from her, he could easily say, oh well, she's just an airheaded bimbo, there's nothing much to her, which is just a way of him coping with the rejection that he's taken. Simple as. And that was my response. Here comes the response from this woman now, right? She goes on to, first she said, oh, it sounds like you, Ron Sampson, has already been defeated. Defeated by what? I asked. I didn't ask her that, but that's what she said. You sound like you've already been defeated. She started talking about how I have stupidly mistaken strength for self-preservation. She went on to say that you black men date outside your race and are breeding yourself out of existence, whereas a black woman refused to date outside of her race, and it's self-preservation. And then she went on to talk about what are black men doing collectively as a group to improve themselves, and she talked about the low status that a lot of black men have. That was her response to my comment. So I said to her, I don't understand. This is my reply to her. I said, I don't understand the point you're making, because how is a woman not dating outside her race something a man can't handle? See, I said my motivation in terms of my comment is based on a black man can't handle a strong black woman. That is the motivation behind my comment. So you not dating outside your race, how is that something a man can't handle? And the situation with black men's low status, that is a completely separate issue, complete separate argument. It's nothing, I mean, that is another subject for another day. I mean, let's move away from the legacy of slavery. Let's move away from the influence of racism. We know they both exist and are important factors, but let's just put them on the shelf for a minute. And let's be realistic about the status quo of black men, be it here in the UK or in America, right? We all cannot be CEOs. We all do not have our own successful business, okay? Now, a lot of black women deem a lot of black men unworthy. So if they're deemed unworthy, don't be surprised that they're going to go elsewhere where they are appreciated by someone else, okay? Because we all do not have a six-figure income. Six-pack are over 6 feet tall. So, in answer to the question that the woman posed, she said, what are black men doing collectively? So I replied with, apart from a few ventures here and there, I do not know what black men are doing collectively. How could I know that? And, oh, excuse the wind, sorry about it. She jumped on that. Oh boy, did she jump on that. She goes, oh, you see, you can't answer that question. And then she went on more about the low status of some black men. She really homed in on that one. And I replied to her, I said, look, again, we're just simply not on the same page here, because could you please remind me, at what point did I make any reference to the status of black men? When did I say anything against the point that you're making regarding the status of black men, right? And I said, as for this business about black men dating outside their race, I said there's a variety of reasons, but I'll just stick with 4 out of the many reasons. I said, 1, for some black men, it's simply a case of preference, right? I'm not here to say which reasons are right or wrong. I'm just here to present what the reasons are. I'm not here to justify anything. For some black men, simple case of preference. And that goes for black women as well. And it goes for white women who prefer black guys. It goes for Asian, Indian men who prefer white women or whatever. So the people of the world, they have their preferences, okay? Regardless what color you are, you have your preferences. Some prefer the preference of their own color. It's just how it is. Some men, it's simply who they have met at the time, and that's it. It's who they've met at the time. For some men, it's simply that they receive a warmer welcome from women outside of the race most of the time. It doesn't mean they haven't dated black women or they're not open to date black women. They've just, especially in a place like here in the UK, where white women or non-black women outnumber black women by, I mean, I don't have the statistics, but they outnumber them by at least 10 to 1, no problem. So if you're in a situation here in London, you're receiving a warmer welcome from women outside your race most of the time. Not every black guy is going to do this, but a lot of them will. They'll just go towards the path of least resistance, or they'll just become lazy and complacent, and they'll just go to where they're used to getting the success, and they won't put in the effort that is needed, i.e. like going to more black clubs or approaching more black women, because they're so used to getting a warmer response from outside their race. They're just gonna home in their target on outside of their race. I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm just stating how it is, especially here in London. That represents a lot of guys here in London, right? Final reason, location. Location differs to many parts in the world. Some black people, male and female, has found themselves being born and raised in the middle of nowhere where there's hardly any black people, and they've just grown up surrounded by non-black people, and they've dated who's around them. So you see a black guy or a black woman with a white man or whoever, until you know their situation, it's foolish to make any assumptions about their situation until they tell you, right? So I said to her, listen, despite your attempts of deflecting away from the question, I am no fool to deflective tactics. I'm well aware of deflective tactics that some people use when they've lost an argument and they try to deflect it away by attacking you. I know I'm too long on the teeth and too old for all that shit. So I said the question still remains. And I've asked you twice now. I said to her, I've asked you twice and I haven't had an answer. What is this strength that black women claim to have that a black man can't handle? Surprise, surprise, no answer. She ran for the hills, never heard from her again. Now, regarding the video that I uploaded on my other channel, for my sins, all I did was just, can someone please give a definition of a strong black woman? All I did was ask a question. I didn't attack anybody. I didn't tar a whole group of people with a brush. And I got a load of vitriol. I said to her, wow, all this for simply asking a question. And I said to her, well, I'm glad for your example of enticement. I'm glad you've shown the world your example of how you entice a guy. Then she realized that she was fucked. She realized how she made herself look stupid. Then she thought that this is something she did not see coming. She thought that I was going to be offended when she said, oh, I don't go for black men, I go for men outside of my race. She assumed I was going to be offended. Now, I don't know whether she's from the United States of America and she would come across a lot of guys who would be offended with that sort of thing. And I said to her, well, good for you. I said, because if you check out my channel, you would see that I've made videos encouraging black women to date outside the race, because my attitude is live and let love. If you find happiness, you got to take happiness where you find it. And if happiness comes in the shape of a white man, Indian man, Asian man, Arab man, right, and he's going to treat you with respect and you're going to be happy, and you struggle to find a black man, if that's whether you want a black man or not, whether you prefer happiness, you owe it to yourself to take happiness where you find it. And she did not expect that response from me, and she ran from the hills. And then she got attacked from other black men because they said to her, listen, if you prefer black or white men or whatever, you should have just said so. And it's instead of, making all that sort of vitriolic attack against me, which again I found really interesting, and it just emphasized my point. So there you go. All that for just simply asking a simple question. I'm a bad guy. Yeah, I'm the equivalent of a terrorist and a paedophile for simply asking a question. What is the definition of a strong black woman? Wow. Friggin' murderer of the century just for asking a simple question. What can I say? The stage is open, the floor is yours. I reserve the right to be wrong, and I welcome constructive criticism. If you could put me in the right direction and give a definition to this question and show me how it's attached to something positive, then I could then promote it and say, yeah, well, a strong black woman is this and that and this, and you should have a strong black woman in your life. But until then, until the deafening silence that is taking place, I'm going to stick with my opinion that terminology, he can't handle a strong black woman, is a desperate coping mechanism. And when I say that, I do not say it as vitriolic put down. I say it for the person who's hearing it to wake up and realize what it is, in the same way that any woman that puts up with bullshit from a man, right, and is treated like a doormat, she is either stupid or desperate. And because no woman deserves to be treated that way, and I say that for them to wake up and stop being treated like a doormat and putting up with bullshit. So when I say desperate coping mechanism, I say that with tough love, and I want the person to acknowledge what's going on, and then for them to come out of that and become a true strong woman regardless of her color. So there you go. Thank you very much. Sorry for the incredibly long video, but I had a lot to say and I couldn't think of a way I could shorten it. So thank you very much. I don't take your time for granted, and I hope you have a good day in whatever you're doing. I'll see you on the next video. Okay, bye. Might as well get up. Oh dear.